Hello everyone. Welcome to another lecture on reasoning ability and problem solving. In today's lecture, we will discuss some examples for logical reasoning. So, in the previous lecture, we discussed that there are four types of questions that can be formed from logical reasoning. And in today's lecture, we will do some more examples to get some conceptual clarity. Let us start with example number 1. So basically in this a matrix is given to us, figure matrix is given to us, and we have to identify the missing pattern, the missing square basically. So if I look over here, if I look at the pattern, this will be an inverted triangle, correct? Because there are two triangles over here and there will be two inverted triangles. Then this will be joined like this to form a hexagon. Hexagon is something which has 6 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 side hexagon we have to make. Similarly, this will also make a hexagon. So it will be an inverted triangle, something like this with two sides to make a hexagon. So option number 1, this will be the correct answer to this question. Clear? Now, then we have a question like this. So this is a question on analogy, specifically alphabet analogy. So whenever we get questions on alphabet analogy, I told you four concepts. The first concept was of forward rank. The second concept was of backward rank. The third concept was of opposite letters. And the fourth concept was of looping. So based on using just these four concepts, this could be solved. So in analogy, we get pair number 1 and we get a missing element in pair number 2. So we have to first identify the relationship between these two elements in pair 1, and based on that relationship we will find the missing element in pair number 2. Correct? This is how you solve questions on analogy. So if you remember the forward ranks, good, but if you don't remember, let me quickly write them. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And if I give them forward ranks, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up to 26. Correct? This was how we used to give forward ranks. Correct? This is how you give forward ranks. Now, if I look at this, P is 16, I is 9, and G is 7. Similarly, M is how much? M is 13, this is 14, and this is 26. I cannot clearly make out what is happening. I can't clearly make out from 16, 9, 7 to 13, 14, 26 what is happening. So let me take a different approach. I'll write PIJ over here and I'll write MNZ over here. This is 16, this is 9, and this is 7, and this is 13, this is 14, and this is 26. So over here 16 to 13 means minus 3, correct? And 9 to 14 mean plus 5. Now from 7 to 26, if I am going, there's one way, that is forward rank, but the other way is from G, if I go to Z, if I go backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and due to looping, the previous letter will be Z. Correct? This is how you go back from looping. So if I go from G to Z, that means I am going 7 ranks back. So I can see plus minus 3 plus 5 minus 7. This is a sequence. This is a logic. So I'll do the same logic for roll also. So for roll, if I write over here, the forward ranks are how much? R is 18, 15, and L is 12. Correct? So I would have to go minus 3 plus 5 and minus 7. So minus 3 will give me how much? 15. Correct? Similarly, plus 5 will give me 20 and minus 7 will give me 5. So 15 is what? 15 is O. Similarly, 20 is T and 5 is E. So my answer will be OTE, and OTE is given in option number 4. So option number 4 will be the correct answer. So this is how you solve questions on letter analogy. Now, example number 3. This is a question on paper folding and cutting. So basically, whenever you deal with questions on paper folding and cutting, two things you have to keep in mind. First is folding of paper, how the paper is being folded, the manner in which the paper is being folded. And the second thing is incisions, that means the cuts. So over here the paper was folded in half, and then these cuts are made. So now the paper will be opened like this. So when the paper will be opened, we'll get an inverse image, correct? Whenever a paper opens up, we get an inverse image. So image will be something like this. And then we'll further open the image, further open the paper. So if I open the paper, I'll get another inverse image. So something like this. I'm not very good at drawing, but you get the idea. So my figure will look something like this, and this is given in option number 4. So option number 4 will be the correct answer to this question. Clear? Now, example 4, again a figure matrix question. Over here we have a missing element and we have to find the answer. So I can see this big square. So I'll complete this square, and from the middle of each square I can see this line over here like this, correct? So I'll complete this line, correct? Then I see that we have a diamond going on. So this diamond I will complete, and this square also I'll complete. So my image will look something like this. And this is given in option number 4. So option number 4 will be your correct answer to this question. Clear? How we solved? Now, example number 5. This is again a question on analogy, you can say, alphabet analogy. Over here, I can see that there is a pattern going on and we have to identify the pattern. I can see that N, M and E are common in each. NME, NME and NME. These are common in each of the word. So over here in this word, we will have N, M and E because this is common. So the only thing that is changing is this letter, the second letter. So the second letter, the series is A, then E, then we have to find out, then O, then U. Now, if you know that there are 5 vowels, what are the vowels? A, E, I, O and U. These are your vowels. So A, E, O, U is your vowel. The only missing vowel is I. So here I'll get N-I-M-E. This will be my missing word, which is given in option number 3. So option number 3 will be your correct answer to this question. Clear? Now, example 6. This is a word given to us and this is another pair of word given to us. We have to identify the relationship between this word and then we will use the same logic to find the missing element in this word. So I can say a farmer deals with crops. I can say a farmer works on crop. That is his primary source of income. Similarly, a chef works on food. So this will be my logic, works on. So over here, the answer will be chef, which is given in option number 1. So option number 1 will be your correct answer. Clear? Now, example 7. This is a question on blood relations. Now, whenever we got blood relations, we got 2 types of questions. Either blood relations means your family relations. That means mother, sister, father, somebody who is related to you by blood. And then the other type of relations are in-law relations. The relations that you make through marriage. So your spouse and his family, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your brother-in-law, those kind of relations. And in blood relations, I told you to remember certain things. First thing was, do not assume gender. In blood relation questions, if you get alphabets, there's no assuming of gender. But even if you get names like Meena, Sheena, Karthik, Aryan, something like this. That even then you cannot assume the gender. Aryan can be a female or a male. That we have to deduce. So we do not assume gender. And the second thing was we use different symbols to denote different relations. So this we already discussed. Correct? So let us solve this question. A at the rate of B means A is the husband of B. A and B means A is the father of B, and A hashtag B means B is the son of A. So remember, it is not A is the son of B, it is B is the son of A. So you have to keep in mind the relationship between the two members. Okay, so let us solve this question. K hashtag L will mean L is the son of K. Correct? K hashtag L will mean L is the son of K. So L is the son of K. L is the son means L is the male. But for K, we cannot assume the gender. Now, L and M means L is the father of M. So L is the father of M. Again, for M, we cannot assume the gender. M at the rate of N means M is the husband of N. So M is the husband of N. If M is the husband, he would be male and N would be female. Okay? N hashtag P means P is the son of N. So P will be the son of, that means he would be a male, son of M and N because they are husband and wife. Now in the question we have to identify how is P related to K. K's gender we do not know. So K could be a female or could be a male. Correct? We have to find the relation of P with respect to K. So P I can see over here, it is the which generation? This is the first generation, or I can say first generation, second generation, third generation and fourth generation. So he would be a great grandson. Now P's gender we know, he is a male. So it could be great grandson, not great granddaughter, because P's gender is already known to us. K could be his great grandfather or great grandmother. That we don't know. But we do know the gender of P, which is male. Hence the answer will be great grandson, which is given in option number 4. So option number 4 will be our correct answer. Clear? Now example number 8. Again a analogy question. Number analogy is given to us and we have to find the answer. So this is the first pair. We have to find the missing element in the second pair, and this is your third pair. Now over here, if I see the relationship between 12 and 72. So if you know the squares, I told you to remember the squares of 1 to 30. Correct? So if you know the square, I know that 12 square is 144. And if I divide 144 by 2, I will get 72. Correct? Similarly, if you know 22 square is 484. And if I divide 484 by 2, I'll get 242. So basically what we are doing is, we are doing two operations. The first operation is, we are squaring the number. And the second operation is division by 2. We are dividing the sum that we get on squaring the number by 2. Correct? This is how we are proceeding. So 22 square divided by 2 will give me 242. So I'll do the same thing for 18. 18 square is how much? 18 square is 324. Correct? This will divide by 2. So it will be 1. Over here 1 will be carried. So this will be 6 and this will be 2. So my answer will be 162. And this is given in option number 3. So option number 3 will be our correct answer. Okay? Now, example 9. Over here again a number series is given to us and we have to find the missing element. Now, from 21 to 23, I can see there is a jump of plus 2. From 23 to 20, there is a deduction of minus 3. From 20 to 22, there is again a jump of plus 2. Similarly, from 22 to 19, I can see there's a deduction of minus 3. From 19 to 21, there is a jump of plus 2. So I can see the logic: plus 2, minus 3, plus 2, minus 3, plus 2. So the next will be minus 3. And if I deduct 3 from 21, I'll get 18 as the answer. So 18 is given in option number 2. So option number 2 will be your correct answer to this question. Clear? Now, example 10. This is a question on seating arrangement. Seating arrangement, I told you, can be of 4 types. First, linear seating arrangement. That means everybody is sitting in a row. Second, circular seating arrangement. Everybody is sitting around a table, circular table. Then your square or rectangle seating arrangement, and then parallel rows. These are the most 4 type of seating arrangement questions that you can get in your competitive exams. Now, over here we have 7 boys are sitting in a row facing towards the north, not necessarily in the same order. What do you mean by not necessarily in the same order? That means it is not necessary that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, they are sitting in a order. No, they can be jumbled up. So there are 7 people that are facing towards the north. North is this direction, and they are sitting in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Now, E is at one of the ends, but which end is not given to us. So there are 2 possibilities. Whenever we solve questions on seating arrangement, we always assume the possibilities. We do not solve only for one possibility. We solve for all the possibilities that we get in the question. So 2 possibilities are there. So we'll solve for both of them. So possibility 1 will be E will be here, and possibility 2 that E is over here. Okay. Now, A is 5th to the left of E. So here, if E is over here, there could be no one to the left of him. So this possibility is eliminated simply by the second statement. A is 5th to the left. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A will be over here. Okay. A is 5th to the left of E. Now, B is not the, pay attention to the word not. B is not the immediate neighbor of A or E. That means B will not be sitting adjacent to A or E. That means B will not be over here, B cannot be over here, and B cannot be over here. So only 2 positions are there for B. So let us take both the possibilities. Let's say over here the B sits here, and over here B sits over here. So 2 possibilities are possible. We have assumed both the possibilities. Now, C is 3rd to the left of B. So C has to be 3rd to the left. 1, 2, 3. C will be over here. And 1, 2, 3. C can be here? No. C cannot be here because we already have placement for A. So this possibility is again wrong. So this is, you see how we have to take into account all the possibilities while solving questions for seating arrangement. Okay. Because now this is basically a 3rd or 4th possibility that is going on. Correct? From the starting. Only D is sitting between A and B. So A and B, only D is sitting over here. Then only 2 boys are sitting between D and F. That means between D and F, 2 people are sitting. So this will be vacant, and there are 7 people: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So G will be automatically placed over here. So this will be my final seating arrangement. Correct? Now, which of the following statements is or are correct? We have to answer. G is to the immediate left of D. So if D is over here and G is over here, is he to the immediate left? No. This is incorrect. A and B are the neighbors of D. So D is over here. A and B are definitely D's neighbors. So this is correct. So which of the following statement is correct? Only 2 is correct, which is given in option number 1. So option number 1 will be your correct answer to this statement. Clear? So this is how you solve questions on seating arrangement. Then example number 11. Analogy is given to us. This is the first pair and this is the second pair. Now, if you know squares, because I told you to remember squares from 1 to 30. If you know square, you would know that 21 square is 441. And this number is very close to 441. This number is basically plus 4. So 445. So basically I have used two different operations. First operation was square the number and second operation was add 4. Only these two operations are being done. So let us see if I do the same operations on 24, will I get the answer? So 24 square is how much? 576. This is 24 square, value of 24 square. And if I add 4 into it, it will give me 580. So 24 square is 576, and if I add 4 into it, it will give me 580 as the answer. So option number 4, 580 will be the answer. Clear? Now, example number 2. So there is a certain relationship between this number and we have to find the other number. Basically, which of the following bears the same relationship as them? So I can see between 40 and 19, two types of relationship are possible. The first relationship is simple mathematics, that is addition. Basically what I'm doing, in 19 if I add 21, I'll get 40. So if in any number I see a difference of 21, it will give me my answer. So over here, this is plus 9. Over here, this is 3 and 2. This is plus 23. Correct? Over here, this is plus 17. And over here, this is plus 15. So in none of the options, I can see a plus 21. Correct? So this logic is definitely not being followed. There is some other logic that is being used in this question. So over here, if I see, if I multiply 19 by 2, how much I'll get? This will give me 8 and 1, 38. And if I add 2, I'll get 40. So what operations I'm using? First operation is multiply 2. Second operation is add 2. Only this operation is being done. So let us see if I do it on some number, will I get the answer or not? So over here, if I 11 into 2 will give me 22. But this will give me minus 2 will give me 20. So this is not the same logic. And 23 into 2 will give me 46. So obviously not the same logic. Similarly, 17 into 2 will give me 34. So not the same logic. Let us try for option number 1. For option number 1, it will be 13 into 2. 13 into 2 will be 26. And if I add 2, it will give me 28. So option number 1 uses the same logic as this analogy. Therefore, our answer will be option number 1, 28 is to 19. Clear? So this is how you solve questions on analogies. Now, example number 13. We have to find which of the following can complete this pattern. So over here, I can see an image like this. Correct? This will complete this. And then there is a triangle like this. Correct? This kind of image is given in option number 3 and option number 2. But now if you look closely, this line is intersecting over here. So this line is not coming from this point. This is intersecting before over here. So this line will intersect before this vertex. Therefore, option number 3 will be the correct answer. Clear? Now, example number 14. 14, paper folding and cutting. So, two things you have to keep in mind. First, how the paper is being folded. And second, you have to inverse the incisions. Now, over here, the first paper was folded half in this direction, then half in this direction. So, now the paper will be unfolded in this direction, correct? So, if I open this paper up, it will give me something like this, correct? And if I further open this paper up, it will give me something like this. So this is represented in option number 3. So option number 3 will be the correct answer to this question. Clear? Now, again a question of paper folding and cutting. So first it was folded in half like this and then in half like this. So if I open, it will be opened up in this direction. So I'll get this same. Similarly, it will be opened in this direction. So again, I'll get something like this. I'll get a square, a circle, a triangle, and a pentagon. So this is given in which image? This is given in image number 3. So image number 3 will be your correct answer. Clear? Now, example number 16. Example number 16, 17, 21, 30, 49, 71. This is given to us. So if I see over here 17 to 21, there is a addition of 4. Correct? From 21 to 30, there is an addition of 9. From 30 to 46, there is an addition of 16. And from 46 to 71, there is an addition of 25. So over here, I can see this is 2 square, this is 3 square, this is 4 square, and this is 5 square. So basically, I'm adding those squares. So the next number will be 6 square, and 6 square is 36. So basically, I will add 36 in 71. So this will be 7 and this will be 1 and 0. So my answer will be 107, which is given in option number 3. So option number 3 will be our correct answer. Clear? Now, 6 friends and they are sitting around a circular table facing the center, and we have to find certain positions. So this is a question on seating arrangement. Which type of seating arrangement? Circular seating arrangement. Okay, so there are 6 friends, they are sitting around a circular table facing towards the center. So it is very important to see what is the direction in circular seating arrangements, or a seating arrangement around a table. Basically, there are 2 directions. First is inward. Inward means towards the center. And then there is outwards. Outwards means away from the center. So in this particular question, they are facing towards the center. So there are 6 friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And everybody is facing towards the center like this. Okay. B is to the immediate right of L. So if L is over here, B will be over here to the immediate right of L. D is second to the left of J. So we'll hold this information because we don't have any reference for D or J. F is second to the left of H. Again, we'll hold this information because we do not have a reference. Now, L is second to the right of H. So here we can see L is second to the right of H. So H will be over here, 1 and 2, second to the right of L. Now I can use this information. F is second to the left of H. So F is second to the left of H. So F will be over here. Correct? D is second to the left of J. So if J is over here, D will be over here, second to the left of J. So this will be the final seating arrangement. In the question, we have to find out who is sitting third to the left of F. So if F is over here, third to his left, that means 1, 2, 3. J is third to his left. So answer will be option number 3, J. Okay. So this concludes today's lecture. Thank you.